Number 10. Anglo-Saxon Warlord. Sometime during the 6th century, an Anglo-Saxon man died and was buried in Berkshire, England. He was laid to rest with an array of weapons, including spears and a sword. Archaeologists unearthed the man's skeleton last year after a metal detectorist discovered bronze bowls at the site. They believe that he may have been a warrior, but it's also possible that he was buried with weapons as a symbolic gesture, according to Dr. Gabor Thomas, who specializes in early medieval archaeology. Dr. Thomas also explained that being macho at this period was a significant part of people's lives. Known as the Marlow Warlord, the man was around 6 feet tall, and his skeleton indicates that he was very muscular. Based on his grave goods, it's clear that he was wealthy and was buried separately from the rest of the community, overlooking the Thames River. This indicates that the man was of a high-ranking social status and possibly a tribal leader. During Anglo-Saxon times, the area that the Marlow Warlord lived in was a borderland that kingdoms often fought over. According to Thomas, his burial suggests that a powerful tribe inhabited the region before other kingdoms encroached on their territory. Tests are being carried out on the skeleton to determine the man's age and see if he had any medical conditions. Number 9. Ancient tobacco. Archaeologists working in the Utah desert have uncovered evidence that people used tobacco as early as 12,000 years ago. That is a really, really long time ago. They made this discovery while excavating an ancient fireplace that was built and used by hunter-gatherers. In it, they found an array of objects, including stone tools, bird bones, and 4 burned wild tobacco seeds. The finding marks the earliest known evidence of tobacco use. Before now, the oldest signs of tobacco use were detected in a 3,300-year-old pipe that contained traces of nicotine. Researchers believe that the people who left the burned seeds behind either smoked or chewed the tobacco for the purpose of enjoying the effects of the drug. The discovery indicates that tobacco use first appeared among native societies in the Americas during the Ice Age. At the time, the region was likely a marshland with a cool climate, which dried up around 9,500 years ago. Researchers know very little about the culture of these early users. The habit spread globally after the arrival of Europeans over 500 years ago. Early tobacco enthusiasts knew little about the potential harmful effects, it seems. Today, there are an estimated 1.3 billion tobacco users, and the World Health Organization blames its use for 8 million deaths every year. Number 8. Neanderthals were smarter than we think. England's Althorp Estate has served as the seat of the aristocratic Spencer family since the 16th century. It's most famous as the childhood home of Princess Diana, who lived there from the time she was a teenager until she married Prince Charles. But the site's history dates back much further, as archaeologists recently realized. While working at the Northampton estate, they discovered pieces of seashells that they could tell had been deliberately reshaped. They assumed that the fragments dated back to the Middle Ages, but radiocarbon dating revealed that they are at least 40,000 years old, meaning they may have been crafted by Neanderthals. The Neanderthals' presence in Britain dates back roughly 400,000 years. They left and returned repeatedly over time, as the climate fluctuated between harsh and livable. Roger Mitchell is the executive director of the Institute for Digital Archaeology, which was tasked with carrying out the excavations. He told the British press that the shells are probably not leftover pieces from an ancient meal, because Althorp was even further from the sea at the time than it is now. They are more likely to be decorations or jewelry pieces. This is the latest discovery in a growing body of evidence that challenges our stereotype of Neanderthals as unintelligent, brutish, and barbaric early humanoids without culture or complex social structure. Other findings in recent years indicate that our prehistoric relatives made cave artwork, took care of their sick, and had burial customs. Number 7. Oldest human footprints in the Americas. Experts recently published a study detailing the presence of 23,000-year-old footprints in White Sands National Park in New Mexico, dialing back the earliest confirmed human presence in North America by at least 10,000 years. This discovery has changed history. Found on an ancient lake bed, the footprints were made over a several thousand-year span during the last glacial maximum, before the glaciers from the last ice age melted. They were created mostly by children and teenagers. The findings mark a turning point in the ongoing debate over who first stepped foot into the Americas and when. Many researchers suspect that humans reached North America much earlier than the footprints were made, but solid evidence is lacking. In the past, scientists have mistaken bone and rock fragments as human-made tools. One study from last year claims that archaeologists found 26,000-year-old human-made rock artifacts in Mexico, but many experts believe that the objects were naturally formed. The fossilized footprints are a game-changer, not only because their dating seems accurate, but because they were made at a time when researchers previously believed ice sheets blocked people from entering North America. Until relatively recently, most scientists thought that the human presence on the continent dates back no more than 13,000 years to the mysterious Clovis People, who are named for the unique spearheads they left behind. But growing evidence suggests that the Americas were home to pre-Clovis civilizations, and the questions to answer now are who they were and when did they arrive. Number 6. Ancient winery. Archaeologists have just announced the discovery of an ancient industrial-scale winery at the Kinis site in modern-day northern Iraq. Dating back 2,700 years to the time of the Assyrian Kings, the factory was found near a collection of stone-cut royal carvings that depict sacred animals and rulers praying to the gods. The carvings were created to remind people that they should be loyal to the king, who ordered the construction of the canal that carried water to farmers. In this sense, they were both religious images and propaganda with political motives behind them. Perhaps these carvings also serve to remind the winemakers who it was that ran the show. The winemaking facility consists of 14 installations that were used to press grapes, extract juice, and ferment it into wine. Some of the world's earliest cities were established in Iraq, and some of the first known forms of handwriting appeared at these settlements, which were inhabited by the Assyrians, the Sumerians, and the Babylonians. Like any modern society, they too apparently like to unwind with a glass or two of wine after a long day. How about you? Number 5. The last fugitive of Vesuvius. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, hundreds of fugitives in the city of Herculaneum ran for cover in hopes they'd be rescued by Pliny the Elder's fleet of ships. During the 80s and 90s, archaeologists uncovered the remains of 300 individuals who gathered in boat sheds and waited for relief that never came. Recently, during the first dig at the site in 25 years, a team of scientists found the partially mutilated remains of a man who died just feet away from the sea while attempting to flee the eruption. Dubbed the last fugitive, he was between 40 and 45 years old when he died. His head was smashed in by a fallen roof beam, and his blood left bright red stains on his bones, speaking to the horror he experienced during his final moments. The pyroclastic flow from Mount Vesuvius hit Herculaneum around 1 o'clock in the morning. A dense, hot cloud of fire and gas barreled toward the sea at 60 miles per hour, giving the town's residents very little time to escape. Although archaeologists believe that the man was a fugitive, they admitted that he may have been a soldier who traveled ashore to help people get to safety. Describing the find as a sensational discovery, Archaeological Park Director Francesco Sirano told Italian News that the remains will be useful for learning more about what the last moments of life were like for Herculaneum's residents. The city was buried in approximately 50 feet of volcanic ash until the early 18th century, when it was discovered during the digging of a well. Using metal blades, Sirano's team plans to carefully chip away at the lava rock that has encased the man for nearly 2,000 years. Number 4. Ancient skis. Archaeologists discovered an ancient ski on a Norwegian mountaintop in 2014. Dating back some 1,300 years, the remaining lone ski at the site was amazingly still intact, with birch rope and leather bindings. For the next 7 years, the team monitored the ice when it thawed during the summertime in hopes of finding the other ski. It actually finally appeared this year. Measuring just over 6 feet long, the second ski was found just 16 feet from the first one. While the pair represents the best preserved skis on record, skiing likely dates back much further. Ski fragments and artwork depicting the activity from as early as 6000 BC have been found. But this is the first time experts have uncovered intact bindings that show how people used the skis. They show signs of extensive repair, indicating that they were valuable and costly to replace. The two skis are not identical, which suggests that they came from two different pairs. The fate of their owner remains a mystery. Experts believe that the person may have taken them off to hunt and lost them, or that the individual may have been in a skiing accident. As the ice continues to melt more than ever before, there is still a chance that researchers will find clues to the owner's fate. Number 3. Crusader's Sword. While diving off the Carmel coast in Israel recently, amateur scuba diver Shlomi Katzen found a collection of ancient artifacts, including anchors, pottery fragments, and a 900-year-old sword that may have belonged to a Crusader knight. He reported the nearly 3-foot-long blade and other items to archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority, who described the perfectly preserved iron sword as a beautiful and rare find. It was used between 1095 and 1291 during the Crusader period. The anchors that Katzen discovered date back 4,000 years to the Late Bronze Age. Katzen's finds mark the latest of several recent discoveries of ancient artifacts in the area, which has natural coves that functioned as a refuge for merchant ships during storms. Many of these vessels left behind valuable archaeological artifacts that are just now being found, thanks to waves and shifting undercurrents, which move the sands along the sea bottom. IAA Marine Archaeology Unit Director Kobe Sharvit told NPR that even small storms can shift sands, revealing certain parts of the seabed while burying others. Ancient objects are also surfacing more often because leisure diving is on the rise. Sharvit emphasized the importance of leaving any discoveries in place and reporting them to the authorities so they can be documented properly. Katzen received a Certificate of Appreciation of Good Citizenship for alerting the IAA to the sword, which will go on public display after it's been cleaned and restored. Tempting as it might be to grab these treasures for themselves, it's possible divers have recovered other valuable items and simply skipped reporting them to the authorities. Number 2. Prehistoric artwork. While excavating near the village of Kondergay in southern Siberia recently, archaeologists uncovered a 4,000-year-old geoglyph depicting a bull. Found near the border with Mongolia, the ancient artwork is the first ever discovery of its kind in the immediate region and in Central Asia. It's twice as old as the famous Nazca lines in Peru, and 1,000 years older than the iconic White Horse geoglyph in England. The artwork was discovered at an early Bronze Age burial site along with some ceramics from the period. Measuring 10 by 13 feet, it was made by carefully arranging locally sourced sandstone pebbles. The image is only partially intact due to damage from road construction during the 1940s, which ruined the creature's head and torso. It was identified as a bull by its backside and tail, which remain intact. The excavation leader told the news that the animal is typical of early Bronze Age cultures in Central Asia. She further explained that bulls were replaced by deer later during Scythian times, but the nature of the stone composition makes it unique among all other petroglyphs that have been found throughout the region. The team who discovered the artwork hope that it will become a protected site, which will help protect it for future generations. Number 1. Ancient Egyptian sculptures. The Grand Avenue of Sphinxes was the most important route that ran through the ancient Egyptian city of Luxor, and perhaps in all of Egypt. Dating back nearly 3,000 years, the 1.7-mile-long road was lined on both sides with hundreds of sphinxes with ram heads. The statues faced one another from opposite sides of the avenue, as if to protect its travelers. As part of an ongoing project to restore the Great Avenue of Sphinxes, archaeologists recently discovered 3 of these sculptures. They plan to place the sphinxes back where they stood during ancient times in the city of Thebes. The statues represent the god Amun-Ra, who is depicted as having the head of a ram and the body of a lion, according to archaeologist Abdel Rahim. They were found near the Temple of Karnak, which was dedicated to Amun-Ra. It was built sometime between 4,000 and 2,000 years ago. This site will become an open-air museum, allowing visitors to travel the pathway between the temples of Luxor and Karnak, which functioned as 2 of the most significant religious centers in ancient Egypt. Thanks for watching! If you'd like to learn about more incredible archaeological discoveries, be sure to subscribe for more. See you next time. Bye!